Yep.
So Sheriff, first, just your reaction, as much as you want to give to the escape of this guy who's charged with first-degree
Yeah.
murder.
Well, first of all, let me make sure that you understand I'm not commenting on other agencies' policies, procedures, or their method of operation because I don't know exactly all the details about what they do, how they do it. Anytime somebody escapes from you, you got to go back and look and see what's going on, right? So I'm sure that's what they're doing, and I'm sure that if the sheriff had his way, he would have other type of personnel there other than people that weren't armed. But this is an example how the county commission's trying to dictate his operation through the budget process because it's cheaper for civilians than deputies. Many years ago, when I first got elected, we had civilians in green jackets in the courtroom that were not armed and they were bailiffs. We changed that. Now, it's more expensive to have a deputy in there than it is a civilian because of the difference in the money you pay them. But you can see that the advantages of having everyone that's in our courtroom now are armed deputy sheriffs. There's nobody in blazers. There's no civilians that are going to take care of prisoners. There's really no such thing as a bailiff. They perform those duties, but everybody is a uniformed, armed deputy sheriff. If our deputies go to the courthouse on business, they are armed while in the courthouse. We have a procedure for that, and we worked that out with the chief judge a year and a half or two ago, and it's working very, very well. But if we have somebody that's in the courtroom and they're a dangerous person, they're in there for very serious charges, they are shackled on their feet and they are shackled with the handcuffs to their waist, and there's a minimum of 2 deputy sheriffs in there. Now again, I can't tell you what everybody else does, that's just what we do, and it works very well.
So the bottom line is, back the way, you thought, wow, this maybe isn't the best idea to have unarmed people handling inmates,
No.
and you think having armed officers is the way to go,
Yeah.
sworn officers.
Absolutely, and it's turned out to be that is the case. The judges feel better about it, the people at the courthouse feel better about it, the people in the courtroom feel better about it. Obviously, times have changed significantly, but the trend was going that way. I mean, you got trials in there of gang members, you got trials in there of people who committed robbery, you got trials in there of people who committed homicide, and there's a volatility that's in there. You can't expect civilians that are unarmed to handle that situation. You need trained, armed deputy sheriffs, so that's what's in there.
All right, that covers what I need. I mean, and the people downtown, the chief judge just said, he chased after somebody who got away back when he was a prosecutor.
Yeah, many years ago.
Yeah, back when they had
Yep.
the
Remember.
regular unarmed
Yep.
bailiffs, and he said,
Yep.
I chased somebody down in the stairwell and tackled him.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah,
it's-
and we've had some very high-profile trials, gang members over there where their cohorts are going to be there, and people that are got a lot of things going on as far as emotions are concerned, and we're able to control that very easily. Right? Each case is different. You may have 2 deputies in there, we may have 20. Right? But it's my responsibility to maintain order and safety in those courtrooms and the courthouse, and we will do that.
All right. And Terry said you may not be able to address what's going on. with law
Well,
enforcement.
the answer to that's yes and no. I'll talk to you about it, but my answer is going to be this. We're not going to discuss how we're deploying ourselves or what we're doing right now, because why would I tell the bad people out there exactly how I'm going to do things? The statement that I made the other day about one-man cars versus 2-man cars was in a totally different question. All right, the question was which is safer, right? And obviously there's a lot of studies that shows you 1-man cars are safer than 2-man cars, but there's always 2 cars at one place. It's just how many people are in each car. And that's really not the issue right now. The issue right now is how you deploy yourselves on calls with men with guns, or calls that we think that there's a little bit of an issue of people trying to draw us in, and we're not so sure of the legitimacy of the 911 calls, because that is the intelligence information that they're going to give us a 911 call, try to draw us in, and then bad things are going to happen.
Now,
So I can say that to you.
Okay, and I know a lot of agencies are now kind of pushing for that 2-man response. So you pretty much already have that in place.
Well,
is basically the question.
That's on a normal course of business. We don't go anywhere by ourselves, right? There's the old adage, there's safety in numbers, is very, very true, especially in this job. Now, we have a different method of operation now, given everything that's going on, right? It's sufficient enough for us to protect ourselves. We are fully capable of protecting ourselves. We will protect ourselves, and we are prepared for any eventuality. that's really all I'm going to say about it, because like I said, I'm not going to give up my deployment to the people that are out there so they know exactly what I'm going to do.
I understand.
So I don't know if that helps you with the interview. You can use that, what I just said. But you know, we're fully prepared to defend ourselves and take care of business and go answer the calls for service.
Martin County yesterday, and we can stop and just
That's all right, go ahead.
this question. The sheriff was saying that they were discussing possibly re-looking at their response tactics and trying to push for all of their deputies to have assault rifles, or a higher number to have assault rifles. I know maybe you can't go into details, but are those some of the things that you may be looking into, or are there other things that you're maybe, I understand you
No,
can't
that's all right. No,
give away your
I don't
tactics.
mind answering this because we're about 5 years ahead of everybody else,
Yeah.
just like in most things that we do. All of our deputies have rifles, ballistic helmets, and most of them have shields. They've had those for some years now in our response to what we deal with every day out there. The weapon of choice for gangs is AK-47 rifles, and we put a big push on gangs several years ago. I'm not going to allow my deputies to get out of the car, have a handgun, and there's a guy with a rifle. That's how the 2 deputies in Dade County got shot several years ago. They got out of the car to handle a call. The bad guy's got a rifle, shoots both of them. I mean, you know, you're at a distinct disadvantage. I'm not going to allow that to happen. Our deputies are fully armed with assault rifles, helmets, and shields. So we're capable of doing anything that we need to do.
Are there any things that you'll be pushing for in the upcoming budget to help better protect your deputies or the citizens?
Nope, we're good on that. The county commission has been excellent as far as allowing us to buy what we need to buy to do our job out there. And you know, there's certain times that you deploy yourself like that. You don't want to look overly militarized. You don't want to look overly aggressive. But you need to have those capabilities with you when the situation dictates. The normal course of business, the deputies are dressed like they always are. They have the protection they need. They go handle the calls in a very responsible and what they call, less aggressive manner. But when the time comes that we need to have those things available, we don't have to wait for somebody to bring them to us. Every deputy's prepared to do that.
One last question. This is a very hard time for people in uniform,
Right.
Going through a lot in the streets, and I'm sure even in our community probably facing some anti-statements. How do you keep morale up?
Well, to be quite honest with you, our relationship with the community is very good. You're always going to have somebody in some form or fashion that wants to make a derogatory statement. But by most accounts right now, we've actually seen quite the opposite. If you go on our website, you'll see people that have sent us letters, they've sent us videos. We got some flowers the other day, I got a thank you card, because people realize that we are there to help them. We're there to protect their neighborhoods. I don't care how good you are or how good your relationships are, there will be somebody that doesn't like what you do. Just like every other profession. You got people that don't like what you do, right? But that doesn't mean that everybody does. So we think our relationship with the community is good. We have community groups, focus groups throughout the county, regionally, citizen advisory boards where we talk with community leaders. We work well with the Urban League. So we think that our relationship is as good as it can be. It can always be improved. We're having additional conversations with the Urban League and other community leaders, clergy people, on listening to them. I mean, at the end of the day, violence on either side of this is not good. But we have to learn to be able to sit down, have a responsible, meaningful conversation and say, what is it that upsets you, and here's why we do what we do. And then leave the room and go out and present a positive front with this. So we think that we're improving upon it, but it's not a landslide of negative comments out there by any stretch of the imagination.
So no distinct changes as a result of these
No.
shootings or anything?
No.
Okay.
And just my thought here, do you think there's going to be, in law enforcement in general, maybe not your agency, but what do you see changing, or do you see anything changing as a result of this currently toxic atmosphere?
Well, I think that the agencies that have not taken the time to form citizen groups to talk with them have not put a greater emphasis on community policing, because that's what community policing is all about. It's not about kissing babies, handing out teddy bears. It's about having a meaningful conversation with the people that live in the neighborhoods that you patrol. I think you'll see an enhancement of that. I think you'll see a resurgence of the community policing. But I think the agencies that have not taken the time to form these groups and have a legitimate conversation will now do that. I think the other thing that you're going to see is in the training of the deputies, you're going to see, like we've done, and we've done over almost a year now, is you're going to see things slow down a little bit. In other words, you're not going to see 7 or 8 cars running into a situation. You're going to see a little bit more of a measured response. Doesn't mean you're not going to go. It just means that they're going to take a look at what's going on rather than get sucked into something. But you're also going to see a lot more of de-escalation training. You know, instead of jumping right into something, if somebody's, you know, really inflammatory and there's a lot of, you know, anger going on, maybe let's step back, get some cover there. Let's try to calm the situation down. Doesn't mean bad things are not going to happen. It just means when you slow them down a little bit and you try to de-escalate a little bit more, sometimes the end result doesn't turn out so bad.
Has this hurt recruitment at all?
Well, you know, with recruitment, we want to recruit as many people as we can from all demographics, whether it's African Americans, Hispanics, Haitians, whatever our community reflects. And we get a pretty good cross-section of people apply. It's just that you got to get them to pass all the steps. They got to go through all the hoops. And the biggest one is the background check. It doesn't matter if they're a white male, black male, purple, green, yellow, white, it doesn't matter. The background check is what hurts most people. Whether they've had narcotics use, whether they've had prior arrest, whether they got something in their background that prevents them from doing this job. Plus the psychological is very important, right? If the psychological comes back and they say, you know what, this person's got anger management issues or they're prone to, you know, be excitable, those are the people that, you know, you really don't want them out there handling a gun. You want the people that have a very calm, cool, collected way that they do business with people. But again, it's the background check.